Fox 32 Chicago Sports. This is Chicago Sports Tonight.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to a special one-hour edition of Chicago Sports Tonight, Bears style. Canellis with you, Tina Nguyen, Cassie Carlson, 670 The Score's David Haugh. Welcome back again.
Nice to be here again.
Thanks for making time for us again.
Well, as long as this keeps going, I don't know whether else you want to be or what else you want to talk about.
Well, can you guys believe the Bears are one win away from going to the NFC Championship and 2 wins away, Cassie, from their third appearance at a Super Bowl in franchise history?
I think that's what belief, resiliency, and confidence gets you. And I think that this Bears team has shown week after week that they have all those 3 things, which makes a recipe to go out there and win close games. And now 7 fourth-quarter comebacks and a winner-go-home game and an emotional win. It's all going to be about turning the page and seeing if they can flush that to focus on what I think will be their toughest game to get to the Super Bowl.
Gonna be honest, I am absolutely shocked, but I'm totally here for it. It's been so cool to see this entire city just light up for the Chicago Bears in the season they've had so far. Vegas set the win total for the Bears at the beginning of the season at over under 8.5. I was leaning more towards the under here because I'm like, listen, Ben Johnson's first year as a head coach for these guys, their first year in his offensive system. But I love that I was wrong, proven wrong here, because this has been such a special season so far for the Bears.
You and a lot of people, I think everywhere they celebrate the parity about the NFL. Every year we're in the same boat, like, well, you know, anything can happen. And every year there seems to be one team that is like the surprise team that defies odds and catches lightning in a bottle and has the football gods smiling on them. This year it's the Bears, and we're all, enjoying every step of the way, because I don't think that last Saturday night you thought after halftime it was going to happen. And I think that even heading into the fourth quarter, had you written that script, it would have been rejected in Hollywood, because 25 points in the fourth quarter for a team that hadn't been, offensively efficient up to that point, nobody would have believed it. And I think that just is typical of this season.
All right, before we start digging into the Bears and Rams, I want to look back at the Bears-Packers game. It's time for our ChevyDriveChicago.com NFC North preview. Guys, listen, I'm born, raised. I've never left the city of Chicago. I'm obviously one of the biggest sports fans you'll ever meet. I thought it was one of the greatest sporting moments in the city's history. Biggest comeback in Bears playoff history, #1, at home, loudest Soldier Field crowd ever. It was one of those moments where we will look back and say, where were you when the Bears came back down 21-3 with 25 points in the fourth quarter?
I mean, it's one of those moments, as you mentioned, similar to 2016 with the Cubs. I remember being at Cam's in Champaign in a packed bar on a rainy night. I remember 2013 when the Hawks, they scored in 17 seconds to win the Stanley Cup. I remember where I was in that moment, too. One of those that you'll never forget. And I just think that speaks to the enormity of the Bears as a whole and what it does to the city, as we were talking about before. That's a lifelong memory for the players as well, that they're saying they're going to be talking about in 10 to 15 years when they're retired.
Listen, I'm not from here, obviously, but I love the city of Chicago. And it's during that game, my guy friends were texting me saying they were crying. I got coffee the next day, and this guy was telling me we were trying to process this win together. And he said, I cried last night. There were grown men in the city of Chicago crying. I mean, it meant that much. So,
But you were inside this studio.
With you. I felt a lot of emotions.
We were celebrating. I was jumping into one of my boss's arms. I was so ecstatic. I don't get carried away with that. That'll never happen again.
Well, it was, because it was historic, and at the stadium it was electric, and I think across Chicago it was cathartic for Bears fans, because not only was it the type of victory you want to celebrate because it was a comeback, it was the Packers, and it was a team that had owned you in every way for the previous 2 decades, and I think it also, Lou, it was one of those things where it had been 15 years between playoff victories. And when you go that long without experiencing something that special, it means something even more when it happens.
I'm glad you brought up cathartic, because as a Bears fan, I expected the worst there at the end. I expected Jaden Reed to come down with the ball, or Christian Watson, and for the night to be ruined, and it didn't happen. All right, I want to move ahead, because this week on Wednesday, we celebrated the Minnesota Miracle. Yeah, when the Vikings came back against the Saints, they scored with 10 seconds left to play in the NFC Divisional round, and then they got their doors blown off against the Eagles in the NFC title game by 31. How do the Bears make sure they don't go through the same type of emotional letdown that Minnesota went
Well,
through?
who was that quarterback? It was Case Keenum, and he's now on the Bears roster. And he took it upon himself as one of the leaders on this team, one of the guys who is actually coaching Caleb Williams this season, to make a message in a meeting, in an offensive meeting, of how you have to move past these games, that no one cares about what happened last week. It's all about what you do in the future. And so Ben Johnson keeps crediting all these veterans in the locker room, Grady Jarrett, Kevin Byard, people who have played in these high-stake games before, for keeping this locker room locked in. And I think that they are leaning on them yet again to just know that it doesn't matter. The Packers are in the past. All that hoopla that came after the game and might be used as bulletin board for the Rams now, it's on to the Rams.
I said last week that the veteran leadership, I think, was going to play an important role, especially at this point in the season. And when you're winning playoff games, right, it's emotional, especially coming off a game like that against the Green Bay Packers. But as you said, Case Keenum was the quarterback in that game, the Minneapolis Miracle. And again, you got to flush it out, because this week it doesn't matter. You got to focus on being 1-0, and that's something that Ben Johnson has preached all season long to this team.
It's great to have Case Keenum with that reference point and vantage point. It's great to have Grady Jarrett and Joe Tooney last weekend in the locker room to give their accounts of when they were down 28-3 and that when the Bears were trailing, it wasn't over. But really, this comes down to coaching. And when you have a staff as good as Ben Johnson's staff is, you rely upon every positional coach to have their group reinforce every single day, every single practice. That last week was great, but this week will not be better unless you focus. And I think Ben Johnson has a maniacal focus that we see each and every day. And when he has that simmering intensity that that's why everyone doesn't get close to him on the sidelines on game day. There's like a 10-foot radius that everyone has to respect. That tells you that the Bears will be ready Sunday.
I will add one more factor that I think is so incredibly important. The Vikings were playing on the road. The Bears have their home crowd to make sure that they have the emotional energy for that game. Caleb Williams throws better than anyone on the big stage when all odds are against him, and his ability to lead 7 fourth-quarter comebacks, it's been just incredibly impressive, and he's played Superman and as one of football's best coaches worried about Sunday.
I feel calm in those moments. I feel my conditioning is the best in those moments. I feel that's really it. I mean, I feel that I'm the best in those moments because of what I've prepared, to be in those moments. It's just next play. And then when you have to go make a play, it's life or death in those moments.
I think there's a belief that they've established. And I think when you have those types of successful outcomes, no different than Matthew the other day, I think he had full expectation to lead us down the field. I feel that when I watch Caleb and I watch that team. There's a belief that they can find ways to finish, and that's why they're in this situation. But he's going to be a nightmare to defend, and we're excited about diving into this prep because here we freaking go, man.
Let's go.
I love it.
Let it roll. What do you think, David? Can Williams throw the football against this Rams secondary?
I think if he's protected, he can, definitely. The challenge is to make sure that you move the pocket, to make sure that he has a clean pocket when he is a drop back or in the shotgun. And if you can give him time to look down the field, then I think he can beat the secondary, which isn't very good. That's why they have given up 28 points a game for the last 7 weeks of the season. After starting the season, one of the best defenses in football. They only gave up 16 points a game in the first 11 weeks, and you're thinking, that's a Super Bowl team. Last 7 weeks, the Rams do not look like a Super Bowl team. Neither do the Bears. I mean, because the defense has to be up to a standard that the Bears really haven't reached. But back to the offense, if you can establish the run, create the play-action pass, Caleb Williams will beat you down the field.
You think he needs to go into his bag of tricks? I'm talking about Ben Johnson to get that offense to put the Rams defense on its heels?
I'm not going to be shocked if we do see this, because I think I would imagine for Ben Johnson against the Rams, this Rams team, you need to score points. You cannot settle for field goals.
Well, they average over 30 a game.
Right, but still, I just think also too with Caleb Williams, going into this game, especially after seeing them win against Green Bay, 25 points in the fourth quarter alone. That's insane. And it just feels like with this team, with Caleb Williams as your quarterback, with Ben Johnson as your play caller, Ben just knows how to call the right play at the right time, though, to still keep his team in the game somehow.
You know, Cassie, let me ask you, because you're there every day, you're at the Ben Johnson press conferences, and there's a narrative out there that all the coaches in the NFL that are part of the Sean McVay coaching tree don't like Ben Johnson because of the way he disrespected Matt LaFleur. And I'm talking about guys like LaFleur and Zach Taylor and Kevin O'Connell in Minnesota, Liam Cohn in Jacksonville. Does it matter?
I don't think Ben Johnson cares. He did that on purpose. He allowed the Bears to release that video on purpose, and then he doubled down on what he did on Monday, saying this should be a rivalry. So, yes, I do think Sean McVay, as he said, they're going to watch the tape, they're going to game plan in every way, and Matt LaFleur is one of his best friends. I'm sure he called up Matt LaFleur and they had a conversation. Ben Johnson said today that's pretty normal in the NFL to talk to the coaches from the previous week and see what their game plan was and if they can get any tidbits. But Ben Johnson welcomes this competition. That's what makes him so crazy, and that's why Chicago already loves him, because he brings it on. He plays into it. He is the definition of Chicago. And so I think this is great for football.
It is great, but this is such a lame response from the McVay tree. Goodness sakes. I mean, this is a coach in Ben Johnson who was fired in Miami. He had to restart his career in Detroit as a quality control coach. You know, when he talks in reverent tones about Matt Stafford, you know why? He was probably getting Matt Stafford coffee in Detroit when he was trying to rebuild his career.
No, you're right.
And here he is, 7 years later, the best head coach or the hottest head coach in the playoffs right now. And there's an element of jealousy. And sure, did he stoke the flames a little bit and did he ignite the rivalry? Yes, thank you. Because it needed reignited. And I think that when you hear some of this stuff that's whispered to insiders and NFL Network, okay, guys, you know, it's enough. It's football. It's emotional. And, you know, these are guys with an edge. I love it because Ben Johnson is intense, and the Bears reflect that.
All right, let's talk about the big elephant in the room. 7 below wind chills.
Woo.
Will weather be a factor in this game, Tina?
It's going to be cold, yeah. And Sean McVay, since he's been in LA with the Rams, 3-0 against the Bears at home in LA. He's 0-2 at Soldier Field. Matthew Stafford's 1-9 in these kinds of conditions. Listen, I get it. I do think it's going to be a factor to an extent. However, Matthew Stafford is an experienced quarterback, man. You got Devontae Adams. He was in Green Bay. These guys, you've got guys on this Rams team that know how to play in this kind of weather as well.
C.J. Gardner-Johnson played against Matthew Stafford in the Divisional in Philly last year. He said, are we talking about weather in the playoffs? Whoop-de-doo. Weather's not going to get you up for this game. It's a win-or-go-home factor that's going to make this game emotional. Although I do think, given the fact that someone like Grady Jarrett played in Atlanta, played in a dome, said when you're preparing to go up to Buffalo for a game, you're always trying to mimic these cold weather temps, and it's really tough to do. I do think it might play an initial factor in the game, not so sure, but the Rams did fumble the ball 3 times in Philly last year.
And Matthew Stafford, regardless of the temperature, he's played 12 times at Soldier Field, 16 touchdowns, 15 picks. He'll throw you the football. He will throw you the football because that is just who he has been throughout the course of his career. He's having an MVP-type season. He's going to the Hall of Fame, but he also can have a bad day. And if you watched him against the Falcons, he had a bad day. And he wasn't always great against the Panthers in both of those meetings either. So he is fallible. He is a guy that you can rattle if you can get a pass rush with your front 4 guys. So will the weather have an impact on the outcome? I don't see how it can't.
I'm with you.
That I think might be a low-key advantage to the Bears. The Rams have 3 coaches who are interviewing for head coaching jobs today. Their offensive coordinator, their defensive coordinator, and their passing game coordinator. You can't tell me that they're not fully locked in on this game plan when they're trying to go get head coaching jobs.
I've got so much respect for that guy. I mean, you talk about the ultimate competitor. He's one of the more supremely talented throwers of the football I've ever been around in my life. He's outstanding. I think he's a great teammate. But what I think second to none with him is his toughness, physical toughness. Like this guy's gone through a lot, and yet finds a way to will himself onto the field to be there for his teammates. So when you look at him from just a competitor standpoint, like this is a really good player, and he's going to will himself to help his team out the most.
Yeah, Matthew Stafford's thrown for over 64,000 yards in 17 seasons. 64,000. Yes, you heard me right. He's going to go to Canton for sure in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He played 12 years in the NFC North in Detroit, indoors, in the frigid cold outside. Now he's got a sprained index finger on his throwing hand. You think he still has a big game with the sprained index finger?
I mean, this guy is tough. That's what stands out to Ben Johnson. So he's going to be out on the field, and he's played through these conditions before. He did it last year with a back injury. I don't think he's going to be fazed by the sprained index finger. I do think the Bears could affect him by getting to the quarterback and having more of a pass rush or pressure on him. But Matthew Stafford's played in plenty of these big games. I think he's going to rise to the moment. I think it's the collective if the team around him can rise to the moment in the conditions.
I think he's definitely going to have a big game. If he doesn't.
Define big game.
Big game is probably 250 with 3 touchdowns, but I think he'll throw a couple interceptions.
Got it.
And big game meaning prolific in terms of yardage. He'll have the touchdowns. That's always been his game. He'll throw you the ball down the field and challenge your defensive backs. But if you can pressure him, you can turn him over. And I think that is where the game will be won. He'll get his yards because he always tends to get those yards and touchdowns. But the turnovers will be the tale in a game this close.
Well, I want to jump ahead because I was going to ask you guys about the defense, and I'll start with you, Tina. But you're both right. My key to the game is if the Bears can't put pressure on this guy and can't somewhat stop their run, Bears are in trouble. Because I think it's all up front, and we need to see Montez Sweat play like he did last week in the second half, and Austin Booker and Grady Jarrett, even Javon Dexter has stepped up. I think the play of the defensive line for the Bears will be the key in this game.
Well, I think all season long, we've seen that the Bears, they can't generate consistent pressure, right? And when you can't rush with those 4 guys up front, it's going to create issues on the back end. Although I think the Bears are pretty healthy, right, in the secondary going into this game. That's good news. But, I mean, you do face a quarterback that's experienced. He's seen a lot of different coverages, different looks, right? He knows when to release the ball, where to get it at the right spot, too. He's got weapons on this offense with Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams has 14 touchdowns on the season. 12 of those touchdowns come in the red zone. I think the Bears defense going back to that bend, don't break, and really execute when you get down the field there in the red zone.
You were a DB, right, at Ball State? All right. I get it. They're all healthy. The Bears are now. C.J. Gardner-Johnson's back. Kyler Gordon's back. But you look at what has happened with Matthew Stafford. You blitz this guy, he'll make you pay. 24 TDs, 3 interceptions. Do you blitz him?
I think you have to, because you have to take a different approach with this game if you're Dennis Allen. It's win or go home. You don't want to leave anything on the field, and the best chance you have is to create a turnover. Also, this is the first game, I think, and one that really matters to this extent, that you've had both Kyler Gordon and C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Both those guys are similar in terms of what position they play, but both those guys could also be on the field at the same time. And then you may be throwing a wrinkle at Matthew Stafford that he hasn't seen before, because they haven't used it before. And I think that is where you have maybe a built-in advantage with the element of surprise. And those 2 guys are both excellent blitzers. And C.J. Gardner-Johnson knows what it's like to play against a Matthew Stafford, as you pointed out. And Kyler Gordon, last week wasn't his best week, but I think it was rounding into form.
Yeah,
if you can play with 6 defensive backs, and those are 2 of them, then I think that you increase your chances of getting to the quarterback.
And there's an argument being made that the wide receivers that the Rams have they match up better with these Bears defensive backs who don't have the full speed, especially with Jalen Johnson, who's not fully healthy. They're more of those physical backs, so maybe it's not Deshaun Wright getting beaten from behind.
That's a great point, because they are guys who can body you up rather than neither Nacua or Devontae Adams at this stage of his career going to run by you.
Right, and I think aggression and physicality are the 2 words that come to mind of what changed really in the second half with the mentality of this defense. That's going to be for the full game if the Bears want to stand a chance of slowing down this offense.
Cassie, I'm going to come back to you in a second. Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua, without a doubt, one of the best wide receiver duos in the NFL. Here's what Roma Dunze had to say about Nacua.
You overlapped a little bit with Puka Nacua at Washington. He was older than you. What did you learn from playing with him? Because everyone talks about just how he's good at everything and gets his hands dirty in the run game too.
Man, he loves football. I mean, that's one thing about Puka. He loves football. And I think that's really where he plays from. And that's why I think he's able to do so many different things, because he just loves football. He wants to be around it. He infects his teammates with that type of energy. He's a tremendous player. So excited to see him, go out there this week. I'm hoping that he doesn't, have one of his, crazy games. But I love his game for sure.
By the way, Nacua was born in Vegas like Roma Dunze. Nacua grew up in Provo, Utah, played his college ball at BYU. And we've got more of Cassie's conversation with with Roma Dunze.
Yeah, Roma Dunze feeling good. I know he's listed as questionable heading into this game with a foot injury. That's just some swelling that happened after the game. I actually loved what he had to say about moving on from an emotional game last week. His perspective from himself, he said it's different for each guy, but he was sitting out 5 games. He is so locked in to play the next 4 weeks. And so I think he feels like this team has a ton of confidence. I loved what everyone had to say about the preparation of Caleb Williams and how they've noticed it go to the next level in year 2 and how that just injects this entire team with confidence, especially in the huddle in those fourth quarters. He seemingly has the perfect thing to say inside the huddle on all of these late game drives that really infects the entire team.
Nakua is the best receiver in football. Do the Bears have the guy to defend this guy, or is he going to?
No.
Is he going to have 200 yards in
No.
receiving?
They don't have the best DB in
They
football.
don't. I think they have Jalen Johnson, if healthy, might be in the mix. But you have Nashawn Wright, if physical, can maybe stop him on occasion. And you have Tyreek Stevenson, who I hope is in the mix more this week, just because that does play to his strengths. But no doubt about it, Nakua is one of the 2 best. I would say Jamar Chase is right up there with him. But you look at what he offers in terms of great hands, great route running ability, and I was surprised you were there. Dennis Allen didn't say much about his speed. He made him sound like a guy that couldn't really run but gets open anyway. I thought you don't want to motivate Nakua,
No.
but I do think that says even more just how he's able to get open.
Yeah, and I think you look at him, and it's the pairing with Devontae Adams, who's 14-3 against the Bears. Yeah, I hate to remind that. And
We're turning the page.
He was on
We
up
got
and
rid of the
Adams. He
boogeyman.
said, once a Packer, always a Packer. If he goes and does some damage against the Bears, that'll be an inadvertent way to please the Green Bay. But I think Devontae Adams is one of those skilled wide receivers who's been in the league for so long. He's played in cold weather games. It's kind of in his DNA a little bit that he's had so much success against the Bears. And as you said, in the red zone, given his size and him being considered a technician, is someone that I'm concerned about too.
Let me get in now about the Bears offense, Tina. It's another slow start. I mean, against the Packers. And we sat on this show a week ago, screamed about how the Bears need to get off to a better start, play much better than they have in the first 2 quarters. It didn't happen. How are they going to do it on Sunday?
Well, first off, it's been so interesting because this team has yet to play 4 full quarters of good football. I mean, them as a first half team, second half team, completely different on offense and defense. But I look at the slow starts. I think right now it's a relatively young team, right? First time in the postseason here for Caleb Williams, Ben Johnson with them as well. And when you're a young team, you don't have the right mindset starting off some of these games. And I think, too, nerves can probably play a factor as well in the postseason here.
What was so interesting was that opening drive, you're sitting there when the press box, you're like, oh, okay, they're ready. Because it was pretty good balance. It was real efficient. You saw motion, you saw efficiency, you saw all the things that you wanted to see to move the chains. And then it stopped. So they didn't get touchdowns. They settled for field goals, and that's not acceptable, and it won't be good enough against the Rams. So you're going to see Ben Johnson tap into his inner Dan Campbell again. I think you're going to see aggressive 4th down decisions.
Really?
Yes, I do.
To keep up.
You have to, because this is a team you're not going to beat with field goals. I felt differently about the Packers game going in because I think those 2 teams were about right here in a lot of different ways. But when you're talking about going against the best offense in football, now you're the Bears and you have one of the top 5 best offenses in football. But if you're Ben Johnson, you're going in and you're thinking aggressively.
Yeah, and I think you look at the Rams, they're the number 2 team in scoring in the first quarter. So if you want to stay with them for 4 quarters, you have to find a way to put up touchdowns and have success in the red zone. And Ben Johnson said this week, they're not going to change their approach in the week. They hammer home these first 15 plays every single day. They need to be prepared to go out there and know the stakes of this game and know that they probably can't play from behind in a second half like they did 7 times this
Let
year.
me wrap up this segment. Colston Loveland had a record day last week. Anyone still out there who thinks the Bears should have selected, I don't know, a left tackle, running back, edge rusher at number 10, maybe even Tyler Warren instead of Colston Loveland?
The more you learn about Colston Loveland and you understand why Ben Johnson was so high on him, why Ben Johnson, really loves this kid. He's not playing like a rookie. He's been targeted 38 times in the last 3 games. He's really become Caleb Williams' go-to target, especially in those critical downs there. It's been so fun to watch him this season. And again, he's a rookie, but he's certainly not playing like it.
Sorry, go ahead.
If ever a play epitomized all that you're talking about, Lou, he was a smart draft pick, he was a mismatch problem, and Ben Johnson would know how to use him. It was the 2-point conversion. They had 6 offensive linemen, 3 tight ends, and a running back. They got the mismatch they wanted against a guy that doesn't play defense, a linebacker for the Packers. And they threw a simple down and out because it was a mismatch. Colston Loveland made it pay off with the catch because he's so dependable. And the Bears, that was a key two-point conversion.
We might see a lot of 13 personnel on both sides in this game, a lot of tight end action. And I think Colston Loveland, Ben Johnson put it perfectly. He's become a complete tight end. He is no longer considered a rookie. And just to see the trust that Caleb Williams has in him, it's not just Colston Loveland, it's Luther Burden, it's Roma Dunze, it's Kyle Monungai. It's all these young players who are going to be together in Chicago for a long time to come. I think that's why it's so promising this year and beyond, that you're seeing the playmakers they're young and they're the ones out there making the big plays.
I've got one more question before they wrap up this segment. I'm going to ask you about the running backs. We've got a minute. Can the Bears running backs, the two of them, Swift, Monungai, together rush for over $150 in this game?
$150 is a lot. I think they're going to be better than they have been the last 3 weeks. DeAndre Swift brought up a good point. It's hard to run the ball against a team you've faced 3 times in a matter of 30 days. And the Packers had a game plan going into that game, knowing that they were so familiar with their opponent. They are well aware the run game has dipped and they need to get back to where it was early in the season.
$150 is tough because this Rams defense, right, their strength is that front 7, but you got to commit. Ben Johnson, I think the team's got to commit if they want to get the run game.
Wait a second. I saw Atlanta rush for over 200 against this Rams team.
Thank you. Yeah, I think the elements may dictate that you have to run the ball more than you throw it. You have an offensive line that you're paying quite well, and this is designed for these kind of moments. So run the ball, and run the ball some more. And if you do that and commit to it, you will get more than 150 yards.
I am siding with Haugh.
The New York Football Giants have the best coach in the division. That's right already. And I like Nick Sirianni. But John Harbaugh now, better than Dan Quinn. He is better than Brian Schottenheimer, and I like Sirianni, Eagles fans, but you have to take John Harbaugh over Nick Sirianni. And this hire is an absolute home run for the Giants. Now, I know I had said recently I would take Kevin Stefanski over John Harbaugh, but now that I know Todd Monken's coming with John Harbaugh for the schematic advantage that he can bring working with Jackson Dart, get a leader in the room, someone who can build a culture of winning, someone that can lead men, and you have the schematic advantage on offense with Todd Monken, it's an absolute home run. This is the best day for the Giants in Super Bowl 46, beating the New England Patriots in Indianapolis. I was at that game. It kicked ass, winning that one 21-17. And I have to imagine, and you know it's been reported that Harbaugh's excited to work with Dart. I think this is a slam dunk, grand slam, A+ hire. What do you think? I hope you like it. Let me know in the comments below. John Harbaugh to our New York Football Giants.
You guys, have you ever seen Nick Costos so happy?
He has got reason to be happy, although I would dispute that, Nick. I think the Saquon Barkley era wasn't terrible, and drafting him might have been just as equal to hiring Harbaugh, but that's a debate for another day.
Well, from BetMGM, let me give you a little...
We lost a lot.
Let me bill you up a little bit. Westwood One's BetMGM. Nick Costos joins us. He's part of CST. $100 million for John Harbaugh, and you couldn't be happier. It's not your money, right?
Not my money. I don't care. Yeah, my team's been brutal for a decade now. I love John Harbaugh coming in. And David, look, you're right. Like when Saquon came in, that was pretty fun. Also, they lost pretty much like every game they ever played with him. Went to the playoffs one time and got destroyed by the Eagles in the divisional round a couple of seasons ago. But yes, very happy as a Giants fan. Appreciate you guys playing that video. Good hair day for me in that video. Very happy for the Giants. I think we have the best. I don't play on the team. But I think the Giants have the best coach in the division now, which may or may not translate to a ton of wins next season. But I'm really excited, and I'll actually, and I made this comparison on my show, it's not apples to apples, and I'm not insinuating that the Giants are going to be hosting a game on divisional weekend next year. You can really draw an analog here to what the Giants just did and what the Bears did last offseason. And it's kind of striking, right, where you have two teams, legacy franchises, who have been downtrodden as of late. They land the biggest fish in the coaching market, Ben Johnson and now John Harbaugh, both with quarterbacks coming off rookie seasons drafted in the first round with a lot of promise. Caleb Williams, Jackson Dart, with GMs that you could have argued should have been fired but got retained. Ryan Poles to Joe Shane. I can only hope that the Giants have the success that the Bears have had this season.
I'm hoping that you're going to apologize to Bears fans out there since you picked the Packers last week.
Well, I mean, like the apology comes in me losing money for betting on Green Bay. I will say, man, 21-3 felt pretty good. Like, hey, Matt LaFleur, maybe get a little aggressive at the start of the second half. Better usage of the timeouts. But look, Caleb was sensational in the game. Ben Johnson got it figured out in the second half, and the Bears have done this all season long. So hard to look at it and say, when the Bears beat the Packers on Saturday night at the end of the regular season, I did think they got lucky in that game. Like lucky to win that game with the onside kick, with the fourth down conversion. I thought they earned every ounce of it on Saturday night. an impressive win. I have nothing but praise to give the Chicago Bears. I'm not going to apologize because I had to apologize to my bank account for losing with Green Bay on Saturday night.
Well, Nick, a lot of the talk last week when you chose the Packers over the Bears was because of the weather, and the wind that you knew was going to be a factor at Soldier Field ended up being a benefit to the home team. Weather's going to be a factor in this game. Who are you going, Bears or Rams?
I think it's I do have a strong opinion on the total of the game, which I can give you guys if you'd like now.
Yeah.
I like the over in the game. So the total is sitting at 48.5 right now. It's come down a couple points because of the expectation that, maybe that there's some inclement weather. We know it's going to be cold, but I don't anticipate the wind being bad. And, Matthew Stafford's played in cold weather throughout his career. I think the Rams will be fine. I don't think this is going to be like that famous game in 2018 when Vic Fangio stuffed McVay and his offense into a locker with Jared Goff. I don't think this is going to be that. I think the Rams can kind of name their score in this game. I would be really surprised if the Rams did not score at least into the high 20s or into the 30s here. I think this can be a shootout. And on the flip side here, and this is where you can make the case for Chicago and why I'm lukewarm on betting the Rams in the game. What if, and it's certainly possible, Caleb Williams plays awesome, and Ben Johnson's going to have it schemed up. The Rams defense is not good. The back end of this defense is not good. Now, Jared Verse might have success against Benedict, right, protecting Caleb Williams, but the back end of that defense is not good. And if Caleb Williams has time to throw, Colston Loveland's going to beast in this game. I love his receiving yards over. And the Bears should be able to score some points in this game. So I like the over in the game, over 48.5. And I like the Rams team total over. I think the Rams get into the 30s here. That's the thing I'm most confident in, is the Rams scoring a lot of points on Sunday night at Soldier Field.
All right, Nick, Tina Nguyen here. I want to ask you about some prop bets. Puka Nacua has been dominant this season, leads the NFL in catches, second in receiving yards. Against this Bears defense, is he likely to hit his receiving yards prop, or do you think this Bears defense can limit him somehow?
Yeah, I don't know about that. Puka, one of the best receivers in the league, did drop a touchdown pass at the end of the first half last week, Tina, against the Carolina Panthers. I would expect a better performance from Puka and Matthew Stafford, who didn't play well in the second half last week after hitting his finger on one of his offensive linemen's helmets. I think Puka is very likely to go over his receiving yards total. Now, it's a high number. 96.5. So basically, will he have 100 yards or not? I have to imagine that the answer to that question is yes. Again, maybe the Bears force a bunch of turnovers. It's not impossible. And I'm saying that I think the Bears have an avenue to winning, which is they score a ton of points. I would be really surprised if the Rams did not score a lot on offense. That obviously leads to Puka having a nice game. The Devontae Adams number is pretty low also, Tina. He's at 54.5. I kind of like both Rams big pass catchers, Puka and Devontae, both over.
All right, Nick, so the Niners Seahawks has huge implications here in Chicago. Sam Darnold has a sore oblique, questionable. What do you think about that game?
Well, and obviously everyone in Chicago will be rooting for the 49ers because if the Bears win, then the Bears would host the NFC Championship game, and you get a Sunday Night Football rematch from a couple weeks ago, this time in the Windy City. Now, the Darnold injury, David, it's an oblique. He's listed as questionable. He's going to play. And the reason why I know that is because the betting market has Seattle as a 7-point favorite. Now, the betting market will generally know things before they're tweeted out by NFL insiders. If we felt like Drew Lock were going to play in this game, there is no way Seattle would be a 7-point favorite, which tells you Darnold's going to play. Now, what percent is he going to be at when the game starts? I can't answer that question. And my honest opinion and assessment of the game to you guys right now, I don't know how you bet Seattle in the game right now. Because while it's possible that Darnold comes out and he slings it and he's looking pretty good and he's healthy, that could happen. What if he's hampered by this injury? Also, what if he's healthy and throws a bunch of interceptions, which we've seen him do before in a big spot? I also think Kyle Shanahan, one of the best head coaches in the league, is thoroughly equipped to coach a game with one hand tied behind his back, which the Niners will be with a bunch of their injuries here. Make me bet the game, especially with the Darnold news. It's only San Francisco plus the points on Saturday night.
Real quickly, Nick, give me the AFC picks.
I'll take New England begrudgingly against Houston. Houston won't have top receiver Nico Collins. I don't know how they're scoring points in the game. Patriots defense played well on Sunday night against the LA Chargers. And Bills Broncos is the same handicap as Bills Jaguars last week. Jacksonville's the better team. Denver's the better team. Buffalo has Josh Allen. Do you think the better quarterback or the better team wins out? I'll put my sneakers on and take a stroll on Narrative Street. I'll take Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills to win in Denver and advance to Championship Sunday.
I'm riding with you. with the Bills. Hey, Nick, as always, thanks for the time, buddy.
If the game goes under the total on Sunday, when I come on with you guys next week, am I going to get chided for that again by the crew?
Of course.
Accountability here.
Yes, you are. That's our way of showing you how much we love you. Nick Costos, all right? BetMGM on the Westwood One Network. The relationship growth between Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams has been awesome to watch this season. My friend and my former teammate here at Fox Chicago, Shay Cornett, who is now hosting First Take on ESPN, joined me here on CST Wednesday night. We had a great conversation. I asked her what it's been like to watch the head coach and quarterback dynamic.
I think that Ben Johnson attitude, though, and you would know this better than me, so you tell me, has rubbed off on Caleb Williams, though. The dude seems angry on the sidelines, possessed it. I'm here for it. Laying into his offense. Like, the two of them together are like this force to be reckoned with. And I think they've rubbed off on each other. Honestly, too, at the end of that Packers game, I was like, oh, here come the Bears. The Packers' body language completely changed. It's almost like they knew it was coming in the second half. It was crazy. So I love to see that quarterback head coach. And it's just so promising to finally have, when I was covering Lou with you, when we were covering the Bears back when I was there, I remember with Mitch Trubisky, Nagy, we would always reference Sid Luckman, the last quarterback to score this many. I'm like, please, can I get a quarterback more reason than Sid Luckman to actually do something for the Bears? It is so refreshing to see records being broken. And the first time, Caleb Williams making history, and I don't have to reference Sid Luckman anymore, please.
So great to see, Shay. What's been most impressive about the growth of this relationship between coach and quarterback?
Well, I think it's happened actually rather quickly because it was just 2 games into the season where we were wondering how this Bears season was truly going to go, given that it was a new head coach and a second-year quarterback learning a new system. And to see the way Ben Johnson has adjusted to Caleb Williams and the way, as she mentioned, Caleb Williams has adapted and become an extension of Ben Johnson has been really refreshing to see and very promising. And I think as much as coaches have to build trust with players, players have to build trust with coaches. And so the tough coaching that Caleb Williams asked for from Ben Johnson, I think Ben Johnson giving that to him and seeing the success on the field is all showing that he trusts Ben Johnson to put him in the best spot possible.
Ben Johnson was proven when he came here because of Jared Goff. And I think that's one thing that Caleb Williams really wasn't. He was a rookie who had gone through 3 play callers and all of the dysfunction of his rookie season. And what surprised me the most is that with Caleb Williams, he's said to have a big ego and a lot of style, not a lot of substance, not necessarily a detail guy. Ben Johnson has made him a detail guy. He has commanded the offense because he has committed himself to learning it, to knowing it, and to be able to recite it by heart, and to be the guy that in those huddles assures everybody it's going to be okay. This is where you want to be. He was built for this.
Tell me if I'm wrong. I think the best thing that happened was he felt like, oh, my Lord, I don't know if this guy likes me. And Ben Johnson showed immediately, I'm not here to be your friend. I'm your head coach, and you're going to follow me, and I'm going to make you one of the best quarterbacks.
It's like a good parent. It's like tough
100%.
love. And he needed that tough love to make that next step.
They could be friends when he retires and they win championships.
And I remember when this man started singing at the old, not the old Chicago Stadium, actually the United Center before Blackhawk games back in 2008. And then the Bears had him at the opener in 2010. And here he is. He is going to be singing. Jim Cornelison, nice enough to join us here. He is going to be singing the national anthem before Sunday's game. A friend, how excited are you, Jim, to be part of Sunday's big game between the Bears and Rams?
Look, I'm really excited. I'm a fan of football, played it as a kid growing up, high school, even 1 year to junior college. And it's just the game that I know and understand the best, And, man, it's an honor to be part of that. And I'm worried about the cold, but I'm super excited about the game.
Jim, I remember that opening night, Monday Night Football, when you sang that. And I mean, there's no better atmosphere with the fans cheering. And then in the playoffs, they bring out the full field flag for the national anthem as well, which is a surprise in itself last week. You mentioned the cold. Like, what kind of chills do you get before these big moments? Because I know fans have been begging for you to sing in the playoffs.
I'm mostly, I get excited when I am asked to do it. And then I'm very excited, like, after. I really have to kind of stay in my headspace and my emotional space. And it's all about doing the job the best that I can do it. So I don't really let myself get too worked up emotionally. Now, sometimes the crowd just is delivering on a level that's beyond what I expect. And man, it will hit me. And then I have to suppress that emotion just to, get through the anthem the best that I can. Happens at Hawks games frequently.
I bet.
Jim, I have to give it to you. The national anthem is so tough to sing. I mean, I would be a nervous wreck, but you do such a great job. So do you do anything before you sing the national anthem? I know players have like pregame rituals, right? Do you do anything like that? But also in the moment, when you hear the fans just cheering and screaming, how do you stay locked in?
Yeah, that's it. You've got to stay locked in. I mean, I create sort of a mental bubble around myself. I can see, of course, the microphone. I try to keep it, under my lip, and just focus really on the technicals of breathing and staying aligned and just doing my job. And that's part of that, not getting too excited, right? So if you're going to shoot the free throws at the end of Game 7 in the NBA Finals, you're down by 1. You're a 93% free throw shooter. Can't celebrate just because you're a 93% free throw shooter. You gotta hit both those free throws, then celebrate. So that's how I stay locked in, is just knowing I have a job to do.
All right, Jim, so if you were an offensive lineman, you would be in short sleeves. You wouldn't wear a shirt underneath. If you were a wide receiver, you might wear gloves. You'd prepare for the elements. It's going to be freezing cold, bitterly cold. How will you prepare? How will that affect you?
Yeah, right. Everybody says layers, but I went out and bought a pair of rechargeable battery-powered socks.
They're key. They're game changers.
And for my girlfriend and my daughter, they each got battery-powered vests. I mean, how do you stay out in that cold that long? I'm going to come up with everything I could possibly think about to try to stay warm.
You will warm up that entire crowd. One final little nugget many people don't know. I don't know if you guys knew. Jim received his Master's of Music from the famed Jacobs School of Music at IU, Indiana University. You fired up about your Hoosiers Monday?
Man, I tell you, it's a big weekend. I got a Hawks game tomorrow, the Bears Sunday, Hawks game Monday, and we got the national championship on Monday. Holy crud, yeah, I'm excited about it. It's the first time IU's ever been there, and this team has just been phenomenal to watch and to get to know.
Jimmy, I can't wait to see you Sunday night. Have fun with it, all right? Because I know the fans are ecstatic that you will be with them singing the national anthem.
I'm ecstatic, and the fans, oh my God, I know they're going to be incredible. It's such a great thing to be part of.
Oh, wow. Jim Cornelison, nice enough to join us.
Not only will good surpass evil, it will be a day of good, better, best. It will be a day that you do not want to be doubting the Bears. Who would dare do that now? The football gods are smiling on the Chicago Bears. There are too many reasons to believe and too few to doubt. It will be cold. It will matter. But it will be warm inside the hearts of Bears fans everywhere. Bears 35, Rams 31.
That's my guy. That's my guy. That's what I woke up to this morning. Mully and Haugh. I love it. You're sticking with it?
That was the caffeine going. Yeah, I think that you've got to believe in this team, because just when you start to doubt them, like at halftime last Saturday night, they will make you look silly. So I do think that not only is it about belief, but I do think they have a good football team offensively, and I think defensively they're going to take just the right amount of risk to get the right reward.
I mean, this team was down 21-6 going into the fourth quarter and somehow scored 25 points. I now believe anything is possible with this team. I think can I give my prediction now, or do we wait?
Give it to it right now.
I think Bears win this week 20-17.
Wow, a lower scoring game than I was expecting.
Take the under.
Yeah, you
Tina's got the under.
You said that they have the football gods on their side. I'm going to reflect back to what DJ Moore said after one of their comeback wins, that they have Virginia McCaskey looking over them. And so I do think that might come into play if you believe in that kind of stuff. This Rams defense, as you mentioned earlier, has been giving up 33 points per game over the last 3 weeks. They also have one of the highest explosive rates they're giving up over the last 7 weeks on defense, and the Bears are top of the league in explosive plays. I'm going Bears win 33-30.
Wow.
Ooh, that's awesome.
34-30, Lou's going with. I believe in the Virginia McCaskey reference that you used.
The Pope is
the Pope too.
Steve Mongo McMichael. And I believe that Bears crowd will be the difference? Fans, I want to hear from you. Now, before we wrap up the show, I don't know if you guys saw Kyle Madungai on the sidelines last week during the Packers game, but he went to the Gatorade bottle, and let's just play what happened.
My boy, Gatorade got something for you. What you mean? I'm gonna let you open up. I don't want to open up for you. Gatorade said, get right. Gatorade. Yo, go ahead, bro. Custom, it's custom made, man. Custom. This side of it. Yeah. Shout out Gatorade, man. Let's get my boy right. I got you. I appreciate it. I ain't gonna forget this time.
I love it.
How great is that?
I mean, it's good, too. I don't know when that happened in the game, but that was a high-stress game. To see Luther Burden, who's a very mellow guy, show some personality on the sidelines, I loved that part of it.
That's what stood out to me because he's not a guy you see a lot of that from.
I love how Kyle Madungai was trying to calm him down, like, we'll talk about this later. We'll talk about this later. Stay locked in, stay locked in. That was such a good moment.
By the way, the Bears picked up a win last week, and they're wearing the Navy on Navy jerseys. Any word on what they're wearing?
What do you think, Cassie?
I have no idea. Ben Johnson said that he doesn't pick that. I think George McCaskey decides what they wear.
That surprises me because George McCaskey is on record. They're saying they're not going to have any special uniforms.
Cole Kmet said that McCaskey is very, very picky about the uniforms.
Wow.
I wonder what that means. More classic? I think they're going to go classic look because the last time the Rams were at Soldier Field for a playoff game, the Bears were in their classic home jerseys. And you remember what happened next, Lou. I mean, you saw Wilbur Marshall running down the sidelines. The snow fell. It was magic.
It was magic. I was there. One of the greatest moments of my life. Bears haven't won a Sunday night football game, folks, since 2018. They've lost 9 in a row, and their last win was against this Rams team.
They were 0-4 in those jerseys, too, against the Packers, and they won.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That's a good nugget there. I think they should just go with what has worked before, not necessarily last Saturday night.
You worry at all about the Black Sunday, the way they play on Sunday nights?
No.
I think this entire season has been erasing poor records in certain situations. I feel good.
Ben Johnson is the great eraser.
Yeah.
None of the history matters.
Great eraser.
All the dysfunction is gone. This is a new day. It has been a new season, so I think you should expect new results.
Yeah, I'm hoping. That's for sure. Bears, Rams, are they a team of destiny?
We'll find out Sunday night.
The best thing about destiny is you don't know till it's over. That's a quote from Caleb Williams.
That was deep. That was deep.
That is it. Don't forget, we have got Bears Game Day Live coming up on Sunday, 12:30, special time. Cassie will be at Soldier Field. Tina will be in studio, along with Anthony Herron. And then after the game, special post-game show. We do not have the game on Fox, but no one will cover it afterwards better than Fox 32 Chicago. We will be inside the locker room with Cassie. She'll be talking to the players. We'll carry Ben Johnson's press conference, Caleb Williams' press conference. We will be there wall to wall with your post-game coverage. That is it for Chicago Sports Tonight. For Cassie, Tina, and David, thanks for watching. We'll see you Sunday, Bears Game Day Live. Again, special time, 12:30, immediately after the game, our post-game show. Thanks for watching. We'll see you then.